The tense evening. She's the host of State of the Union. She's CNN's chief political correspondent. Howie Kurtz is joining us, Washington bureau chief for the Daily Beast, host of Reliable Sources. Lauren Ashburn, we just got her mic on her. She's a contributor for the Daily Beast, editor-in-chief of the Daily Download. Nice to have all of you joining us.
What's your flat jacket?
You know, wasn't it Tom Brokaw who said pretty much you were going to need a flat jacket? Did it feel like that to you going into the debate?
Going into it, it felt a lot more than it did when it was in the debate. Let me just say that even at the end of it, when it was over, the first person that made a beeline for me was Governor Romney. He came over and said, "Thanks, Candy, very much. Great debate." You know, so I didn't ever, that was kind of, I never felt like they were anything other than two men who are watching the calendar squeeze in on them toward Election Day, and they were there to fight it out. I mean, I didn't think that they were personal at each other. I said, oh, it was clear they had this animosity. It really wasn't clear that much on the stage. It was clear they were going after you. It didn't really feel that way.
Like that from where we were.
Yeah, I know.
Too far.
The camera writes it quite large.
Let me ask you about Benghazi, because much is being made, and that, to me, seems to be the topic that is arising out of all of this. We played this clip a couple times, so I don't think we need to play it, but there was a point at the end where you were doing a fact check, and you said, you confirmed that what the president had said, acts of terror, was in fact the case, and then you went on to say, but in the main, or, you know, essentially what Governor Romney had said about the 2 weeks of going back and forth, that he's sort of right on that point, but in terms of the quote, he called him out on the wrong thing. So this morning, Paul Ryan, who's been making the rounds on the morning show, says, well, she's already backtracked. He's talking about you. She's already backtracked from that statement, as you probably already know. She basically said that she was wrong in that assertion that Mitt Romney is right in what he said. And look, nobody believed at the Rose Garden speech that the president was suggesting that that particular attack was an act of terror. Are you backtracking of what you said in that fact check last night?
Goodness, I hope they get back to one another. Listen, what I said on that stage is the same thing I said to you actually last night.
So I know what you said.
Which is that, and what I was trying to do, by the way, it was, oh, you fact-checked him. I was trying to move this along because we were, the question was Benghazi. There is no question that the administration is quite vulnerable on this topic. That they did take weeks to go, well, actually, there really wasn't a protest and actually didn't have anything to do with the tape. That took a long time. That's where he was going. That was his first answer. That was Romney's. And then we got hung on this. Yes, he said, no, I didn't. I said terror. You didn't say terror. And there was this point where they both kind of looked at me, you know, and then, you know, he was looking at me, the president was looking at me. And what I wanted to do was move this along. Could we get back to these? So I said, he did, you know, say acts of terror, call it an act of terror. But Governor Romney, you are perfectly right that it took weeks for them to get past the tape and the
act of terror, people on one side applaud. Then you said, yes, it took 2 weeks. People on the other side applauded. So not a backtrack?
No, I mean, he said, I mean, the question was, we got so stuck on that act of terror. It took him. Now, did the president say this was an act of terror? The president did not say. He said these acts of terror. But he was in the Rose Garden to talk about Benghazi, so I don't think that's a leak.
We actually had tweeted out the verbate from the Rose Garden because my feeling is people are interpreting it different ways, so if someone really wants to read it, they can read it and see what they want to say. Before we go to break, and we're going to continue on the other side, so make your question really fast.
I have the greatest respect that it's got to be difficult in that situation. I just felt that, personally, that was the one time where I felt like there was a genuine disagreement between the two candidates, and I felt like it wasn't necessarily your place to try to be fact-checked right there. I happen to think that your assessment of that was wrong, and so I was a bit frustrated on that particular point. I think you did great on other parts of it, but I really felt like you have two candidates disagreeing. It's not the role of the moderator to try to say, well, Mr. President, you're right, or Governor Romney, you're right.
So I'm going to stop you there because we've got to go to commercial break.